Jamie Dimon, the head of J.P. Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the United States, announced this week that they had lost $2 billion in some trades in London. Trades in derivatives that, well, they weren't exactly sure if it was just $2 billion, and they weren't exactly sure how they did it, but they knew they lost at least $2 billion. How can the head of the largest bank in the United States not be sure how and why they lost so much money? Well, that's the nature of the roughly $700 trillion derivatives market. Now that's a 7 followed by 14 zeros. Where'd that number come from? Actually, no one really knows how big the derivatives market is. Every time there's an estimate taken, the number seems to go up a little bit. Right now, we're focused on about $700 trillion. That's about 14 years worth of production throughout the entire world. And, well, a $2 billion blow-up, that's, if you think about it, that's just a little tiny blip on the market, 0.001% or less of what J.P. Morgan's position probably is of that 700 trillion. So, well, you're going to have to expect these things once in a while. Another way to look at it is if you look at the MF Global collapse back in November, that was when MF Global was missing about $1.6 billion, give or take. We're not really sure yet. They're still looking into it. A lot of that money seemed to have gone through J.P. Morgan at the time. So you lose $2 billion here, make up $1.6 billion here. It kind of comes out in the laundry. How does this happen? Well, I think the best quote comes from Paul Miller, an analyst at FBR Capital Markets. I've got to read this directly here. He was quoted in Bloomberg as saying, "Investors are going to say that these are general big black boxes that can't be analyzed. Not even the management companies understand what they're doing themselves." In other words, too big to fail, that's one thing. Too big to understand is completely another. And nobody understands what's happening. The most infamous quote about how big these things are and how no one understands them comes from the Fabulous Fab. That's the kind of the carnival barker name for Fabrice Touré of Goldman Sachs. Infamously, he sent an internal memo, an email through the company back in 2009, which is being used at his trial, which is still pending, by the way, in which he said, and we'll quote this one too, "More and more leverage in the system. The whole building is about to collapse any time now. Only potential survivor, the Fabulous Fab, standing in the middle of all these complex, highly leveraged, exotic trades he created without necessarily understanding the implications of these monstrosities." Yeah, he's the one who underwrote them. He's the one who sold them to people. He doesn't know what they are. He didn't care. And he was bragging about it. Nobody knows what they were, but he sold them. That's the problem. 14 years worth of world production. Nobody knows even really how much it is, what they represent, what they do. And $2 billion can just go away without anyone really noticing until it's too late. Unless, of course, it turns out to be $3 billion or so. But anyway, that's the state of these markets right now. The first thing to do when it comes to regulating these is to figure out how big they are and report on them. If we can't do that, they have no business selling them. After that, you want to regulate these things to the point where, you know, maybe we have to explain what they are before they're sold. That would be nice. But then again, why are people and banks buying securities that the people they're buying them from, have absolutely no idea what they even are? That's too big to understand. That's the system we have right now. Think about it for a while. If it makes your hair hurt just contemplating it, well, you're not the only one.